You had a great week? I did. It was really good. I had somebody came by to see me this week where I was working. We had an awesome time. Somebody else came by, and it was just really good. Wednesday night was good. Prayer breakfast Saturday morning, it was just really good. So, if you have your Bible, start finding Daniel chapter 5, please. Can you believe we're out of the first 4 chapters? It's taken us 4 months, but we made it. No, it hasn't quite been that long, but it has been a while. What? Been sick. Daniel, yeah, but who's counting? Daniel chapter 5. I've been so excited to get here and talk about this today. It's going to be fun. You're going to have to get your fingers ready so we can look around a little bit. Are you there? Somebody told me this morning, you know, instead of saying you love to hear pages turn, you say, oh, it sounds like angel wings. Okay, see, it wouldn't work. Audra, never again will I listen to you. It's like, Margie, oh, she's blaming you, Margie. It is. Thank you, Steve. Yes, sir. Got your back. You do have my back. No, but you're still trying to dig out the hole you dug with her, so that, okay. Listen, if you're visiting with us today, welcome, first of all. And secondly, I hope you can tell by what's going on that this church is really, really loves each other. And we're going to talk about, actually today we're going to talk about our reputation. And one of this church's reputation is how you really, really love each other. And that's awesome. That's why a lot of people are here. Why a lot of people have stayed through some tough times. Because of how well you love each other. So if you're visiting and if you're looking for a place to call home, I trust and pray that you consider this if you're looking to be loved and cared for. This church really loves each other. And and so we're learning how to make this a participatory event. This is not somebody stands up and talks. This is everybody's involved in this. We're walking life together, right? We've been talking about that for a while. And so that's what this hour is no different than the next. It's just we're walking together. So Alan and Janice were gone away a couple of weeks, and they watched the sermon on the internet or whatever, and they could hear Garrison talk back to me last week. So, all right. Are you there? Daniel chapter 5. This is good. Stay with me, okay? Now, between chapters 4 and 5, 30 years have passed. The old king is now dead. There's a new king. It's the old king's grandson. Nebo dies, and now his grandson, Belshazzar, has taken over the throne. So 30 years have gone by, all right? It's just not one day after another. So here now is the grandson. King Belshazzar gave a great banquet for 1,000 of his nobles and drank wine with him. While he was drinking his wine, he gave orders to bring in the gold and silver goblets that Nebuchadnezzar, his father, that doesn't mean literally his daddy. That's a word that they use for someone in his past, okay? Nebuchadnezzar, his father, had taken from the... Remember how that happened? You remember when Nebuchadnezzar came in and he took Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, remember he took them as exiles and brought them back. And when he did that, remember he also robbed the temple of some stuff. Now his grandson, this cocky, he's throwing a party and they're having this huge doing, and after he gets drunk, he goes, by the way, go get all the old stuff that we took out of the temple that the Jews used in their worship. We'll show them. And so they start filling up all of this stuff. Guess what's going to happen? You don't do that. Okay? So, go get the silver and gold goblets, and so that the king and his nobles, his wives and his concubines might drink from them. Verse 3, so they brought in the gold goblets that had been taken from the temple of God in Jerusalem, and the king and his nobles, his wives and his concubines drank from them. And as they drank the wine, they praised the gods of gold and silver, of bronze. I mean, it's just total idolatry. Suddenly, the fingers of a human hand appeared and wrote on the plaster of the wall near the lampstand in the royal palace. Yeah, oops. His face turned pale. What's this? And he was so frightened that his knees knocked together and his legs gave way. You ever been? When Terry stands up to sing or whatever, you can't see because it's pulpit, but she is the epitome of this verse. He's like, what's that noise? It's Terry's knees. Okay. The king called out for the enchanters and astrologers to be brought and sent to the wise men of Babylon. Whoever reads this writing and tells me what it means, I'll clothe him in purple and have a gold chain placed around his neck, and he'll look like a rap star. And he'll be made the third highest ruler in the kingdom. And then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing or tell the king what it meant. So King Belshazzar became even more terrified, and his face grew more pale. His nobles were baffled. The queen, hearing the voices of the king and his nobles, came into the banquet hall. "O king, live forever," she said. "Don't be alarmed. Don't look so pale. And here's where we're going to start. There is a man in your kingdom." Okay? We're going to talk about this, the reputation. All right? There's a man in your kingdom. Now remember, this is 30 years later. And this grandson didn't know anything about that. But somehow, in the 30 years, there's been this passing down of this story about Daniel and how he interpreted dreams. Remember that a few chapters ago? So his reputation has made its way. And she goes, there's a man in your kingdom who has the Spirit of God in him. In the time of your father, he was found to have insight and intelligence and wisdom like that of the gods. In the NIV, it says, there's a man in your kingdom who has the spirit of the holy gods in him. But the literal translation, he's talking about who has the spirit of the Most High God. Okay? So don't get confused there. So his reputation was that he had the Spirit of God in him. In the time of your father, he was found to have insight and intelligence, wisdom like that of God's. King Nebuchadnezzar, your father or your grandfather, I say, appointed him the chief of magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and diviners. This man Daniel, whom the king called Belteshazzar, was found to have a keen mind and knowledge and understanding, and also the ability to interpret dreams, explain riddles, and solve difficult problems. Call for him, and he will tell you what the writing means. So Daniel was brought before the king, and the king said, "Are you Daniel, one of the exiles my father the king brought from Judah? I have heard," here it is again, that reputation, "I have heard that the Spirit of God is in you, and that you have insight, intelligence, and wisdom. The wise men and enchanters were brought before me to read this. They couldn't do it. Now I have heard that you are able to give interpretations and to solve difficult problems. If you can read this writing and tell me what it means, you will be clothed in purple and have a gold chain placed around your neck, and you'll be made the third highest ruler in the kingdom." Then Daniel answered, what's this? You can keep your gifts for yourself. A little bit. It's like he's not going to be bought. Keep your gifts for yourself and give your rewards to somebody else. Nevertheless, I'll read the writing and tell you what it means. O king, and then he begins to tell what the writing meant. And you can look at that later, okay? It's fascinating. But what I want to do is chase this little thing about how does a reputation get passed and passed and passed like that. We're going to talk about reputation. Oh, by the way, he interprets that, and then verse 29. At Belshazzar's command, Daniel was clothed in purple. I mean, he got the rap star treatment. He got the bling, the whole thing. And he was proclaimed the third highest ruler in the kingdom. What's this? For a day, that very night, Belshazzar, the king of the Babylonians, was slain. You know, there's a whole other sermon there about, you getting all this stuff. King for the day, big deal. Keep your stuff. All right? Okay. So anyway, So we're going to talk about reputation. We're going to do it in two different ways. We're going to talk about reputation among men and reputation in the spiritual realm. And then we're going to talk about the church's reputation. Okay? So that's where we're headed. So I don't know how you're going to take notes about all of that. But so anyway, so turn to Hebrews chapter 11. We're going to talk about the reputation of men. Your reputation among men. I want to show you a few of these guys' reputations. Hebrews chapter 11. Somebody just, before you get there, tell me what that chapter's about. Faith. Yeah, faith. Good. What do they do in that chapter? What?
They were found out people.
Yeah.
All faithful through.
Yeah. It's like a faith hall of fame. It's all these people that have had faith. It's the testament is their reputation. Okay, so we're going to leave out the big ones in the first of the chapter, but down toward the end of that chapter, it gets really neat. In verse 32 of chapter 11. Now, in the previous verses, it talks about Abraham and Noah and all of the banner type names. Then you get to verse 32. And what more shall I say? I don't have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and the prophets. See how I just blazed right through that name? Oh, never mind. All right. Who through faith conquered kingdoms. Here's their reputation. These guys, they conquered kingdoms. They administered justice and gained what was promised. Who shut the mouth of lions. They quenched the fury of the flames, and they escaped the edge of the sword. And their weakness, here's their reputation, and their weakness was turned to strength. And who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. Women received back their dead, raised to life again. Others were tortured and refused to be released so that they might gain a better resurrection. Some faced jeers and flogging, while others were chained and put in prison. They were stoned and sawn in two. They were put to death by the sword. Man, what a reputation. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, persecuted, and mistreated. And here it is, the best one of all. And the world was not worthy of them. Wow. I got to do this, young people. I can't keep myself from it. I'm going to be sarcastic. These guys are being sawn in two. The world is not worthy of them. You want to play a game of Xbox? Okay. I digress. All right. I would stand on that soapbox for a while. You know, it's like, what in the world? Where have these kind of people gone? Okay. Refuse to be known for your weakness. Listen, the verse before we started talked about Rahab, the prostitute. Isn't that awesome? The prostitute's name and her story makes it into this hall of fame of faith and her reputation. Why? Because she refused for her failure, her whatever, to be her identity. Listen, I don't know. Pause for a chase out. I don't know what you've done, your past, your heinous sin, and I don't care because that doesn't define you. You are not defined by your failure. Now that's a part of the story, but that's not the whole story. Got it? So if you don't get anything out of this today, you've got to get that. My past does not determine my future. The enemy would have you believe that to be so, but it ain't so. Okay. So you don't be defined by your failure. You do something about it. You let your weakness be turned to your strength. You become powerful in battle.